It feels like two different men, right? The kind one and the cruel one. And you keep trying to figure out which one is real. And you tell yourself that he's changing or that he's struggling or he's going back and forth. But I want you to watch the pattern because it's not random at all. I'm going to show you how his behavior shifts on purpose, how all of these moments are actually part of the exact same pattern, and how this creates a split in your head that keeps you completely stuck. My name is Lisa Sonni. I'm a certified relationship coach, author of 5 books, and I speak internationally on the subject of domestic violence and abuse. If this is the content that you need, hit subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this. So here's what you think is happening, right? It feels like he flips because he's kind, that's who he is, and then all of a sudden he's mean or cold. He's attentive and then he's distant. He's kind and then he's cruel. And you experience this as these sort of changes in him or a shift. Something happened. Is it a bad day? Was it that his mom is mean to him or his ex was mean to him or he had a bad day at work or he just doesn't know how to treat people? So you try to do things to prevent this bad version of him. And now you're walking on eggshells while you wait for this good version of him to come back. But you're actually organizing your life around his moods. You're actually managing him. But it feels like you're living with two people. This is why so many people make that Jekyll and Hyde reference, right? But here's what's actually happening. It is his behavior that is changing, not who he is. You see this warmth and attentiveness and kindness show up at certain times, and then distance or cruelty or just straight up abuse shows up at certain times. But it's a pattern. It's actually a response to what's happening around him, right? If he's getting access, if he's getting the control that he wants, if you're being distant, if you're close, none of this is a random pattern. This is actually very consistent. Who he is an abusive man. And sometimes he pretends to be kind, and I'm going to prove it to you. I want you to watch when this kindness shows up, right? We think that he's a good guy who does bad things. A good guy is abusive 0% of the time. A bad guy pretends to be kind when it suits him. So look at when the kindness is showing up. After an argument, right before he wants something from you, when you pull away, watch when the kindness goes away, right? When things start to feel kind of secure again, you're feeling better, you're like, he's been good for the last 2 weeks. Things have been going fine for the last few months. We're getting closer, and then he pulls it away. When you're available, that's when he starts to pull away and be cruel again. The timing matters. It tells you everything you need to know. This is a pattern. It's not about who he is in individual moments. It's about who he is overall. So it's the behavior that changes when it suits him. It's not that he is actually two different people. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he does it because it works. All of this behavior, the oscillation of kindness and cruelty, it creates confusion, and confusion keeps you wondering and watching videos and trying to figure out what's real, and you stay while you try to figure it out. Now, the kind version of him, I get it because that's what you want. That's who you met. That's who you fell in love with. And it feels really genuine. It feels like who he actually is. You recognize it and you connect with him. You love this person. You love this version of him, really. And you hold on to that. You hold on to that about as tight as you possibly can because you want it to be true. So you use these moments of kindness as evidence that that's who he is. And you compare it to everything else. When he's horrible to you, when he's abusive, when he's mean, when he's cheating, when he's calling you names, when he's being distant, you think, yeah, but he's also kind to me sometimes. So many women come to me and say, he's not all bad. He's only abusive maybe like 20% of the time or 40% of the time or 5% of the time. The percentage doesn't matter. It's not about the quantity of abuse. The goal is 0% abuse. The goal is none at all. Good men are not abusive sometimes. They're abusive never. If you keep telling yourself that he is a good person who does bad things sometimes, you're going to keep holding on. This is what keeps you open because you feel this so strongly. Now, this is a really interesting thing here of why this works on people. People from the outside of an abusive relationship are looking in and thinking, hello, he's abusive. This makes no sense. But the issue is that the kindness isn't constant, right? It's spaced out. You don't even know when it's coming, and that's kind of the point. It is reinforced intermittently. This is an abuse tactic. Because you don't know when the kindness is coming, you feel relief when he is kind to you. I also want to point out something here. We always talk about kindness and abusiveness. Don't forget there's this middle ground where it's sort of the absence of abuse. Those moments can feel amazing and you can get the same relief from moments where it's not particularly bad. An example might be he hasn't screamed at you in 2 weeks or he hasn't cheated on you in 6 months. And these things start to feel like change or feel like things are getting better when it's really just part of the abuse cycle. So when you feel the relief, it hits you so hard and your body responds to that shift. And so you start to anticipate that. You actually stay inside the cycle for those moments. You are attached, one could argue, addicted to the relief. This is the dopamine spikes that you hear people talk about. All the while, you are holding on to this tighter and longer because you're trying to get back to the good guy, back to the good version of him that you met in the beginning. All of this keeps you engaged. Intermittent reinforcement is part of the cycle of abuse. And what this really does is actually create these two realities, right? You're living in a dual reality, the good and the bad. Something I say frequently is he becomes the knife and the Band-Aid, the pain and the comfort. And this is what's really happening. You're experiencing traumatic cognitive dissonance because these two things don't line up. But here you are trying to make them fit. An example would be he is abusive and he loves me. Is someone who is abusing you, and remember that abuse is a choice, is that love? It can't possibly be, but it's your spouse, it's your boyfriend. He does love you. He says he loves you. He does things that seem like he loves you, but he's also abusive. And you try to make these two things fit and they don't fit. And I want to be clear, they don't fit. That is what creates this discomfort, this confusion. And the name of the discomfort is cognitive dissonance. And when we experience cognitive dissonance, it doesn't make sense. So we try to make them fit. And what our brains end up doing is just kind of choosing the easier option, which is maybe he's traumatized. Maybe he has anger issues. Maybe he doesn't know what he's doing. Maybe I just need to explain it to him again. Maybe I need to wait. Maybe he needs to get into therapy. There's so many things that we think, but the truth is abuse and kindness are both part of the cycle, and they're both necessary parts of the cycle to keep you stuck. You elevate what feels good. Whenever things are good, you're like, oh, this is it. This is the guy. This is the moment. I know this is who he is, but it's actually not. We take what hurts us and we push it aside and we make excuses for it and we act like that's the good version of him. That's really who he is. An abuser is abusive by choice. There is no cause of domestic violence other than the perpetrator's choice to be abusive. Cognitive dissonance is one of the most difficult things you could possibly imagine to resolve. And as an aside, a phenomenal book on the topic is called Traumatic Cognitive Dissonance by Dr. Peter Salerno. I recommend this book to everyone. It is a phenomenal way to start to understand what it is and how to resolve it. But I'm also going to share with you some other specific ways that you can resolve it in a minute. When you're in this, you are looking for consistency. This is an unconscious thing that our brains do, right? If we can finally make this something right, then everything's going to stabilize, right? We think that we can kind of get more of the good based on our own behavior. If I just manage him properly, if I just, stop being difficult, if he gets therapy, then this will all make sense. So we stay stuck and we adjust our own behavior and we try to avoid the bad and we stay in this horrible cycle, but we don't step out and look at the pattern and see it clearly. We try to solve it from the inside. Now, this makes sense for us to try to do, but it's never going to make sense and it's never going to work. You're just living in this relationship, oscillating between kindness and cruelty and living in a constant state of confusion. Getting yourself clear is the way out of this. The longer we spend trying to figure out why does he do that and what is causing this and what's driving this and how can I solve it and how can I help him get better, we are so focused on him that we're not focused on the pattern. We're also not focused on the impact on us. And all of this is a distraction to keep you in the relationship. To be able to get out, we need to be able to kind of step back and look at the pattern. Don't look at who he is in a single moment. Look at what he repeats. Look how often it shifts, how often he changes, how often he comes home in a good mood and a bad mood, and how you feel about that. Look at what happens after good times, how comfortable he gets when you sort of go, things are fine now. And then he goes right back into the cycle. I want you to stay with this pattern. Don't look at specific isolated moments and don't separate these two versions of him. He is one man making one choice and he is repeating this behavior. It is one pattern. that's what you're in. Now, where this starts to break is when you stop chasing all of these good moments and you stop using any kindness or absence of abuse as proof. You stop excusing the bad. You hold the entire picture of what's actually happening. This is incredibly hard when you're actually in it. Now, reality testing, which is a CBT technique, is really helpful when you're trying to come out of this. You're looking at evidence and you're looking at what is real. These are exercises that you really need to do repetitiously. You can work with me one-on-one. You can work with your therapist. You can work inside my Trauma Bond Recovery group coaching program that I host. It's a 12-week structured group coaching program with just 8 to 10 women, and I co-host it with Dr. Peter Salerno. So you have 2 experts guiding you through over 12 weeks how to break a trauma bond, and a big chunk of that is on resolving cognitive dissonance. Let this be one pattern, not 2 different versions. You need to really feel the difference, and when you do, you're going to get clearer and clearer, and you won't move the same way. This man is not switching. You're just seeing the pattern from different angles. So hit subscribe if you're not already. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.